This is a 65-inch tall shower tower or shower panel by ADKY, which I got from Home Depot. It was on sale. And in this video, we're going to go over some of the steps that I took before I put my walls up and how I installed the shower tower or panel. So prior to putting the walls up or the backer boards up, you have to plan precisely where the tower is going to be set and installed. You have to put structure behind the walls that you're going to drill into, and most importantly, you have to plan the plumbing very well. So this big metallic structure there, that 3-inch pipe, that's actually the exhaust for the downstairs bathroom fan, and that over there is the tub surround for the bathroom for the other bedroom. So before you put your backer boards up, you want to know exactly where the panel is going to sit, because you want to do your plumbing prior to putting the backer boards up. To hook up the plumbing for it, I've already routed these two pipes previously here. And I was trying to find some way in order I can have the connections properly. The fittings at the end of the shower panel are 1/2-inch female connectors. And so what I plan to do is to put shark bites on this with 1/2-inch male endings on both of them and have the connections there. But that would leave me with an opening in the wall with some potential risk for water to leak back there, even though the shower panel has rubber on the side that will prevent leakage of water as water drains down the wall. So I was trying to find some way to have access to it in case it needs to be changed or repaired in the future. So this is the idea that I actually came up with, and I think it's pretty good. So I bought this plastic box, which is actually used for a washing machine connection. It's actually supposed to be longitudinal, not up like this, but just because, you know, I just want it to fit behind the panel without any of the sides showing, that's why I put it this way. And as we can see, there are pre-scored openings right here for 1/2-inch and 3/4 of an inch pipes. So my plan for right now is to get a 90-degree shark bite for each one of these pipe with 1/2-inch male threading on the other side, and hook it onto the pipe, make the hole, fit it through. So at that point, what I can do is, when I want to install the panel, the stainless steel pipe could just sit in this and hook up over here. The other option that I'm also thinking about is using a shark bite valve. However, they don't make shark bite valves that have a male 1/2-inch connections to it. They make the 3/4 of an inch, which are used for washing machines. So I did find online that you can buy at the store a coupler connection that will convert it from 3/4 to a 1/2-inch. That's also my other option, just in case I want to have a valve back here to shut it off, instead of having to shut the water on the entire house when I want to make a repair or something in the future. And so pretty much like you saw before, there used to be the two pipes with the T connection right here that kind of came up, and I used a 90-degree elbow, also shark bite connection, and let's see, you can try to see it, the tip of it right there. I was trying to make the holes in those kind of pre-aligned ones. However, I wanted to drill the valve right on the stud behind there, and it didn't work, so I had to make the holes back there. But yeah, and I used a little short piece of pipe. I made sure to keep this one as blue, so know that that's the cold one and that's the hot one. So when I hook it up, or someone has to repair it in the future, they wouldn't mess it up, and when you turn it to hot water, you're actually getting cold. But anyway, so what are the valves that I actually used? I was trying to find a shark bite valve or any form of valve that had a male fitting on the other end that's 1/2 inch. So I decided to use the shark bite for a washing machine valve, which is 3/4 of an inch. What I decided to do, I decided to get a coupling that's a conversion from a 3/4 to a 1/2 inch, which you see right here, this piece. So now these are mounted to the wall, and if I open this, it'll actually spray water on me. One thing I do recommend before you start closing any walls and putting your backer boards up, check all the SharkBite fittings that you used, or even if you used anything else like soldering copper joints or PEX piping, make sure they're not leaking, because that cold valve over there did leak, and I had to replace it. When you put your frame for this cover box around, make sure to put a bead of silicone around. You just need to put it from the top and halfway down. You don't have to put it all around, just to make sure that if water does actually get behind your tile on the backer boards and drains down, it doesn't go behind there. Next up after that was putting red guard all over the walls, and then tiling and grouting, and this is what it looks like. So here we have all the tile is up and grouted. Now I'm getting ready to install the actual panel itself. I put these 2 pieces of blue tape just so I know where exactly I'm going to drill. The 2 brackets on the back of the panel are about 37 inches apart. So from before I even put my walls up, I actually knew exactly where I'm going to have the panel. As I said before, make sure you know where you want it on the wall, and where the upper bracket is going to be drilled into the wall. I made sure I put a 2x4 stud on both sides of the center stud that you saw that was going from the floor to the ceiling, just so I have something back there that I can drill into. And the other reason for the blue tape, just because I previously saw others said that it helps to prevent your drill from sliding. To be honest with you, it didn't really do any of that. The drill still slid around, and I had some issues with it, as you're going to see later while I'm drilling. The other thing is, make sure that you use a level when you're marking everything, just so you won't have your panel tilted, which will really make it look like a crappy job. So here I'm just measuring the distance between the upper and lower brackets on the panel, which was 37 inches, and doing my marks. I used the 2 brackets that bolt onto the wall, which the shower panel gets fixated on, and traced the 2 holes for the screws on the blue paper. Here's a picture of the 2 brackets that are bolted onto the wall and the screws that come with it. I'm just going to align my panel here at the areas where I put my tape before I make the holes with the drill, just to make sure that everything aligns properly. And then I'm going to use my hammer drill here with A drill bit that is used for masonry or concrete or stone, and make the holes at the marks that I traced. And I do want to mention that, drilling into this porcelain tile is very hard. It's not easy. It does take a lot of effort. It will take about, you know, anywhere between 2 to 3 minutes to even drill one hole. And like I said before, the tape is supposed to help prevent sliding of the drill bit on the tile as you drill through. But, I still had the drill slide and tear through the tape, especially when it's a hammer drill and it's vibrating backward and forward. Another thing that can help make things easier and faster is spraying some water onto the hole as you are drilling. Don't drill the holes completely through. Um, just make sure you make a nick in the tile first, and then drill halfway. Do the same thing to the other hole, and then put your bracket on there and make sure that you drilled the holes correctly. The last thing you want to do is to find out after you drilled the hole completely is that one of them is a little bit higher than the other because the drill bit slid a little bit, or they are too far apart, and the screws won't go in correctly. And then screwing on the bracket there with the two screws to the wall. And after I screwed it on tightly, I used a level just to make sure that it's leveled. I do want to mention one thing. Although I do like this panel a lot and all of the functions that it has, the material that are used, or the materials that it comes with, such as the brackets and the screws and so on and so forth, did feel a bit of low quality to me. For example, the bracket that is actually, which I was using there to bolt onto the wall, was bent at angles from each side that were a little bit off, which when after I installed the lower bracket, right now I'm drilling the holes for it, but after I installed it and I put the panel on, I noticed that it was wiggling left and right from the bottom. And the way these brackets are designed, and the panel is designed to hook onto them, they have to be leveled very well. And there's a very small, about a quarter of an inch of a gap that the brackets go into each other, and if they don't go in correctly, the panel is just going to slide left and right. So again, here I'm just spraying some water and using my knee to drill these holes, because like I said earlier, drilling holes into porcelain tile is not as easy as you think, and it does take some time. Just putting in the plastic anchors, and now I'm screwing in the second bracket. And one thing I do want to mention here is that it again, it is very important to uh, plan all of this out before you tile your walls and before you decide where you want to have your plumbing, because if my plumbing was a little bit lower than it actually was, then I would have to put the panel at a lower height, and that it wouldn't work well at that point. I am a tall guy and I do want it to be pretty high, at somewhere at around, 6 feet 10 inches or 7 feet, somewhere in that range. As you saw there, when I put the panel on, um, it still had a little bit of a wiggle on the lower side, which I was not happy with. I tried to adjust the brackets as much as I could, but I still had issues where it had a little bit of a wiggle from the bottom, as you saw there. And I tried to find or look for multiple different ways in which I can make it very sturdy. And the only solution I came up with, which worked very well, is to actually loosen the screws a little bit on the top bracket and the lower bracket. And when you hang the panel back on there, just push it down firmly and it will be held tight between the bracket and the wall. Don't try to rely on the instructions that come with the panel because they are completely useless. They provide no helpful instructions, no helpful tidbits whatsoever. There's nothing on the company's website that will help you install this. And I did find a few videos on YouTube on installing it, but none of them included any help about what to do with the actual plumbing. I mean, anybody can put some screws in a wall and hook up the panel, but to actually have the plumbing done correctly and at what level and height in the wall is very important here. As you can see, I'm still having some issues with the panel, trying to find the right way to hang it up where it's firm, but still having issues where it's wiggling. And that's when I decided to loosen the screws up a little bit and see what happens. And we'll try again to put the panel back on and push it down firmly where the brackets are not just hanging on each other, but actually the bracket of the panel is going in between the bracket on the wall and the actual wall itself. And it worked very well. Everything is held in firmly and sturdy, and nothing is wiggling at this point in time. So now the next step is to actually connect the braided stainless steel flexible pipe that came with the panel. It's about 16 or 20 inches long. They're 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, meaning that it's just a 1/2 inch on each side, which is, as you remember from earlier, why I used this 3/4 of an inch to a 1/2 an inch coupler connection. I've already went ahead and put Teflon tape on the washing machine shark bite valve when I connected the coupler connection to it. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just removing the coupler connection which I had on previously, hooking it up to the 1/2 inch braided steel pipe that connects to the panel. So now it's just a matter of screwing on all the connections together, tightening them very well, making sure they don't leak, and then connecting them to the back of the panel and hanging it up. This is what the final product looked like. I hope this video was helpful and it gave you some idea about what to expect when you're installing a shower panel and how to plan ahead. If you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments, and I'll do my best to help you as much as I can.